They may sound nuts, but so do the Wright brothers. Now, here's Flieger and Briggs.
Oh yeah, this is just really getting old, but that's an old story as well. So hopefully I don't sound like I'm underwater. Pretty soon we'll be back in studio and the sound will be better. Uh, but welcome to It's Just Sports. We are Flieger and Briggs, and this is a 12-ounce sports radio network. And Rick, there's all kinds of things rumbling in sports, but not a whole lot of action. And one thing right off the bat is the NHL is really pushing for the draft before they ever get this regular season over with, which tends to me kind of lean the way the NHL thinking, okay, this season's shot. Let's move on with the draft and get going. Now the teams are really in an uproar because if they play a certain amount of games, whatever they determine, the way the standings are, there's been deals made last year and the last couple of years via trade. And for example, say you're an owner of I don't know, just say the San Jose Sharks, and you've made a deal to get a first round pick with whoever, say Buffalo. Well, Buffalo happens to win 6 or 7 games. That's a different pick. And yeah, exactly. So, a lot of these teams are really upset because they're losing, I guess, what you would call draft capital in some of these deals that have been made in the past. And it just looks to me like the NHL is going to win this one. Right. And actually, I mean, right, regarding the NBA point, except for this year, remember we talked about it last year, they actually moved the PGA back to June, or excuse me, May, before the US Open, I believe it was. And it, was well received. The weather was fine and everything, but they moved it, I think, to August this year because of the COVID-19. But other than that, But yeah, getting back to the NHL, let's not forget this is an extremely physical game. They haven't played for what, 7 weeks now? Yeah. And when does this start? I mean, even in mid June, now you're talking July just to finish up the regular season, and then you're going to have to somehow modify the playoffs. And even so, when do you start the next season? Because now you're starting to lose ground everywhere. Do you shorten the 2021 season so it all ends at the same time, or how's this going to work out? And I mean, there's a lot of variables there besides the revenue loss that they've already experienced. I know they think they're going to try to make up for some of these losses, but even when some of these sports start coming back, I'm really hesitant to think that these stadiums are going to be packed anytime soon. There's going to be a lot of people out there, even if they've got some disposable income. Well, I'm not taking dad to the hockey game, or I'm not taking little Susie to the hockey game or the basketball game. I'm not taking any chances, so I just don't think that these crowds are going to be overflowing right away either. Oh, I think the whole sporting landscape has changed, quite frankly. Maybe not the NFL, but you talked about even if this thing goes away tomorrow tonight, we wake up tomorrow morning and it's gone. You talk about the people that are cautious. Of course, they're going to be cautious. They've had thousands and thousands of deaths. Um, and what areas are we talking about? These hotspots: New York, Philadelphia, out in California, Chicago. These are the largest sports markets in the country, and yeah, they're understandably going to be cautious. And here's another point as well, Rick. A lot of it, especially with the NHL, a lot of these players. In fact, I've heard this. I heard it today on the radio. A lot of these players have returned back to their homeland: Sweden, Finland, Russia, Switzerland, and so forth. Plus, the Canadian borders closed. This thing is going to take a lot of time to even attempt to get the NHL going.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what? Just to hold on, Rick.
I think we have problems. We're going to have to pad a little bit here. I see the control rooms in chaos.